If you're a fan of The Sopranos, you may already know this, but if you don't, there is a brand new documentary out called Wise Guy on HBO Max, or just Max now, whatever it's called. The wise guy in question from the title of this documentary is the creator of The Sopranos, David Chase. This documentary comes in two parts. Part one mostly focuses on David Chase's upbringing, his early life, college, film school years, his first roles in the movie and TV industry, and the second part focuses more on the production of The Sopranos. I'm not the type that likes to just talk about things that are brand new so I can get some quick YouTube clicks, but how often is it that we get new Sopranos related stuff nowadays? You want my review? It was good. Go see it. If you're a fan, you'll like it. There's my review. This is going to be more of my thoughts and observations about the two-part documentary as I was watching it for the first time. Let's start by talking about part one. Part one began with this interesting artistic montage where David was sharing stories from earlier in his life, and they were edited together in this interesting way. I say interesting because the rest of the documentary wasn't like that.
Revolutionary War you can town. Still see where the furnaces were. They made musket balls. There's a river that goes through it. That's actually the town we used.
It seemed like Chase was just rambling and talking over himself, which he also admits at the end of the segment. He seems kind of grumpy and says something like, I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah, I'm just talking my fucking head off. I can't believe it.
Just a weird way to start the whole thing. If you follow my channel, you know that I like to talk about strange edits, especially in The Sopranos, and there was one I noticed in this documentary. It was in part one. They were doing this little sequence where they had some stock footage of 90s CTR type TVs, and the one at 14 minutes 31 seconds in, I don't know if it's just me, but it didn't look like they finished it. Like if this was the TV screen, the HBO logo was like that. It didn't fill the screen. I thought that was weird. I saw it first and I said, what the hell was that? I had to go back, watch it again. If you watch the documentary and see that, I'd be curious to know what you think about that. That may be just another one for my list of strange edits in The Sopranos. One of the best parts about the whole documentary for me was when they showed the audition tapes for when they were casting for The Sopranos pilot and other roles in the first season. The guy who plays Artie Bucco, he read for Tony Soprano.
They go and sell Jesse Raphael and they talk about their problems. Whatever happened to Gary Cooper?
It was just so surreal to see Artie Bucco reading that line. They were showing casting for other characters, and other ones that stood out to me were Big Pussy and Christopher. They had a bunch of other Italian-American dudes reading for those lines. Some did pretty well. You saw like, oh, maybe that could work. But as soon as Michael Imperioli and Vincent Pastore read for those characters, it just clicked. Obviously, as a fan of the show, my mind associates them immediately with the character, so it's biased in that way. But it worked. They just have this like on-screen presence. Tony Sirico, Paulie Walnuts, he read for Big Pussy's part.
The site manager wants to renew his contract with Dick.
It worked, but when Vincent Pastore did it,
the site manager, he wants to renew his contract with Dick.
That's it. He's Big Pussy. That's the guy. They said they were casting for Christopher Moltisanti's girlfriend, and a bunch of actresses read. They all did a good job, but one thing that made Drea stand out was the fact that in the script, it just said ow. But Drea read it like, ow!
Ow!
As someone from New Jersey, you just know that someone who looks like Adriana would say that line like that. It was just so perfect. Now let's talk about part two. Livy Soprano, Tony's mom, was actually supposed to die at the end of season one. When he goes to the hospital to smother her with the pillow, she was originally going to get smothered with the pillow. But she was sick. Her health was declining. Having a job to do helped her. It gave her something to do. It gave her something to look forward to. So she asked David Chase to not kill her character so she could remain on the show. So that's why Tony's mom is in season two and, a little bit of season three, as we know. Another thing that I liked from part two is that they 100% confirmed my theory of, in the finale episode Made in America, they were doing what I was calling the Kubrick cut, which is a reference to that part in 2001 Space Odyssey where the astronaut looks out, blank room, cuts back, and he's already out there in that room. We don't actually see him go out. It messes with the whole timeline, gives it this dreamlike, surreal quality. That whole Made in America episode had that feeling throughout, and I really like that about it. Now, obviously, I'm not the first person to make that comparison of the editing in Made in America to Stanley Kubrick's editing, but confirmed by David Chase and the cinematographer that was a direct inspiration for them. Regarding the infamous cut to black ending, They don't tell you exactly clearly what happened, where they say Tony Soprano got shot and died. They go about as far as you can go without saying those words. David Chase was saying he wanted to film the death sequence or whatever it was in New York City, but they didn't end up filming there. Maybe the end should be at a diner where they often eat. And there was a line from AJ where he says, "Wait, I thought black meant death." Cut to black, death. The end credit music of this documentary was Death Letter by Son House. Get it? Death Letter? They can't get any more obvious than that. If you haven't figured out by now that Tony Soprano dies. Well, that's about all I have for today. If you like little facts and tidbits I shared from this documentary, then I can assure you by actually going and watching the documentary, you will get more enjoyment out of this. There is a lot more stuff to learn from this. It was a good documentary. If you're a fan of The Sopranos, you will not regret checking it out. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. I appreciate it. As always, I will see you next time. Goodbye.